Welcome to this episode of Eureka, and today, a lot of media is talking about this new emergent variant in UK. The UK variant is causing waves of panic and anxiety. Will it kill people more? Will it spread fast? Is it going to be a new pandemic? These are all a lot of questions which are there in people's mind. So, in this special episode of Eureka, we are having with us Dr. Rakesh Mishra. He is the director of Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, a CSIR institution in Hyderabad. So, thank you for being with us in the show. So, let me start with this first question that comes to most people's mind. Is it back to square one? Last December, we had this, 2019 December, that we had this emergent novel coronavirus. We faced it for the whole year with the arrival of vaccines on the horizon. We were taking a deep breath. Okay, things are going to end. But this news has scared a lot of people. What's your view? Are we back to the square one?
No, so, thank you for talking to me. And so we are talking about this UK variant that has emerged recently.
Yeah.
And no, we are not back to square one. We have made lots of progress. And for two reasons, we are not back to square one. One is that it is not reinfecting people. So that means it's respecting the immunity that generally is built
Mhm.
after one infection is there, whether it's symptomatic or asymptomatic. So that is why it is not back to square one. But
Okay.
it is a matter of concern. It's not a matter of panic here, but it's a matter of concern because the only bad thing of this virus is, in addition to current ones, is that it spreads very fast.
Uh-huh.
So if we have established some kind of equilibrium of how many people can come and hospital and those capacity,
Mhm.
that might get disturbed because more and more people, if suddenly fall sick,
Okay.
and then that can lead to cascade of events and disturbance and more restrictions, and that we would not want to have.
Okay. So, this most news reports and social media message say that is a mutation. There are some mutation that has happened. So, let me start with this fundamental, simple question: what is a mutation?
So mutation is change in the genetic material that happens as a error in the replication process. So there is a machinery in all living beings go through mutation. If we don't have mutation, we will never evolve.
Okay.
So even each individual, each one of us are different from each other because our ancestors have acquired certain mutations,
Mhm.
and that's why we are different. A mutation will be circulating in the population as long as it's not harmful.
Mhm.
Sometimes, if it is advantageous to the organism, then it will start to replace others because it had advantages. So that is the very basic of evolutionary biology, and viruses also use it. Every living being uses it. The
Okay.
mutations become more of a issue in virus because most other organisms, when you copy the genetic material, there is a proof editing mechanism that corrects if any error has taken place, while these kinds of viruses don't have proofreading mechanism, so
Okay.
proofreading mechanism. So if they make a mistake, that continues, and that
Uh-huh.
mistake will be then propagated. So as long as that mistake is of useful or not harmful for the virus, it will continue. So the rate of mutation therefore in these viruses is high.
Mhm.
So that's why, like AIDS virus or common flu, very difficult to come with vaccine. Very quickly they change so much that they look very very different for the immune system or for the vaccine. This
Uh-huh.
virus has not been mutating that fast, but
Okay.
it is mutating, and there are large number of mutations. Most of the mutations of no consequence, so they are there. We catalog them and keep them. But when a particular mutation starts to spread, which means more and more cases keep appearing, that means this mutation is smarter than the other ones and is occupying the bigger proportion of the infected people. Then it is
Okay.
matter of concern. Yeah.
Yeah. See, some person were saying that if we look at this particular virus, we can imagine it to be, its genome, we can imagine it to be written with about 30,000 alphabets.
Yes.
Of course, we all know that the alphabets of life are A, G, U, C, with regard to RNA. So
Yeah.
there are about 30,000 of this arranged in particular order and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And they were also pointing out that if one of these alphabets are changed when the copying takes place, when the new progeny is made, when the virus infects our cell and so on, that's what mutation, and perhaps it may also change the sequence in amino acid. Can you explain to us briefly in a simple way this, so that
Yeah.
our audience can understand?
Exactly, yeah. So the genetic material has the information to make the corresponding protein, because the RNA is then a copy of this is made, and that is used by machinery in the cell, translation machinery. Virus doesn't have its own machinery. That's why it needs to come to a cell of a host to do anything.
Mhm.
And then the protein are made by translating the message that is there in the RNA. If
Okay.
we have a change in the RNA sequence, the protein sequence will change. Sometimes there are mutations where, although RNA is different, but protein may not change, because multiple codes are for the same amino acid, so it may not change sometime,
Mhm.
but sometime it can change. In this particular virus, there are some 14 different mutations that are recorded,
Okay.
out of which one or two are the one that are of prominence. One of them is making a change in the protein, the spike protein, that it catches the cell surface more strongly.
Okay.
That we believe. So that means even if fewer viral particles are around in the
Mhm.
people, they can
Mhm.
catch the cells easily and enter the cells. It has to find that catching point, which we call as a receptor.
You see, you
Uh,
said this variant in UK variant,
yes,
it has more than 14 mutations, and a particular thing that we are focusing on is a particular mutation that is happening in the spike protein.
yeah,
Why spike protein is more important than other parts of the virus?
the spike protein is the most important part of this virus. That's why the name is coronavirus, because there are a lot of spikes coming and it looks like a crown, and
Okay.
the name for this. So these spike proteins have on the surface of the virus, like kind of a searching, like they have a plug and they are looking for a socket where they can connect quickly. So that's why they look for that surface, and in the epithelial cells of humans and many other cells of our bodies, epithelial cell are our respiratory cells on the that make the surface of the respiratory tract.
Mhm.
There this receptor is expressed, means it is present on the surface of the cell. So the spike protein goes and catches that receptor, and then it has a ticket to enter inside the cell, and then it will multiply and make many particles of the virus and eventually kill the cell. So that's why they do damage to the body and increase more and more numbers, so they can be spreading more in other individuals. So spike protein. That's why most of the vaccines are actually targeting the spike protein, because if you can cut off the plug itself, then this will not be able to connect to anything, and we'll be able to manage easily. So it is a very crucial protein of this virus.
So, going back to the question, in this UK variant, we find one mutation which has happened in the spike protein,
Yes.
which many news media is saying that that is what making this variant more transmissible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, can you explain what does it mean? I mean,
So I was telling same kind of thing. So if the virus has more affinity
hmm,
to catch the receptor, so even a smaller number of particles are there, the chances that it will latch onto the cell is higher. While the other variants, the same kind of virus, there is a chance that it may not be able to latch on and we can escape. So it has
uh,
70% more efficiency in the spreading. The other thing people have noticed is that people who get infected with this virus, they are producing more viral particles. So
oh,
that means we are emitting more. So when I'm talking, if I'm infected, I'm emitting 2 times, 3 times more virus. So that
mhm.
means chances of infection increase further. Both of these things are helping this virus very efficiently spreading others. And that is a major concern, because this virus is already very infectious. On
Mhm.
top of it, it becomes that's why some are calling it a super spreader variant, because this in UK it is creating lots of trouble, because even a small number can infect. Normally, you require 1,000 viral particle to enter the body. Then you expect a infection.
Mhm.
Here it may be much less. and if the person is also producing more, so even if at a 2 meter distance you get fewer particle, person infected with this one, even at a 3 meter can have enough, because it's the number of particles that you are emitting. So that's
Yeah.
why in multiple ways it is getting more successful in infecting people.
Mhm. So which means that because of this affinity that it has acquired
Yeah,
by changes in spike protein,
yeah,
less number of particles can cause infection, and
yeah,
because the person is also producing large number of virus particle, more number of people can possibly get infection, right? I mean that's what summon substance of this
exactly,
particular mutation implies.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this brings to one question that some news media are I mean putting it like the earlier variant in a small picture and this variant in a big picture, like a killer virus. So I mean maybe earlier variant that we survived, but with this variant the chances of fatality or let's say severe conditions are more. Is it going to change the way we are going to get disease or the death rate or things of that kind?
No, no. So data has already come about this. So the symptoms remain the same,
Mhm.
mortality is the same, and there is no change in that. But having said that, mortality, let's say, remain the same percent. But if the number of people are more, then the actual number dying will be more.
Uh-huh.
And see, as I was saying in the beginning, we have certain equilibrium. We are managing this. In fact, India has done fantastic in managing this. Consider our healthcare system, the financial things, and number of people, living conditions
Yeah.
with lowest death rate is some kind of unbelievable.
Mhm.
And many things are responsible for this. The actions taken by authorities, the healthcare workers, I mean, job which is really nothing less than bravery, I would say.
Uh-huh.
So all these things we have been able to now manage. Now imagine that suddenly the load in the hospital increases twice,
Mhm.
then we will have big difficulty, because then we'll not be able to provide help to people and save those who could otherwise be saved. So that's why mortality can increase for that reason,
Okay.
because they will people who were who could escape will not
Uh-huh.
get enough
Uh-huh.
help, and we will have difficulty. And then it adds to many things. It will if there's a lot of spread, then like UK people will say let's put a lockdown, and then people will panic and those kinds of things. So that's why these are very, very linked thing. I
Mhm.
don't think India should can afford another lockdown. It is
Yeah.
very, very painful for people, particularly who are economically not that well off. It's very difficult for them. So I think that is why we should take it uh, as a warning, and
Mhm.
take a serious warning that the virus is not gone. Uh, and news of drug and vaccines should not make us relax any bit.
Mhm.
I mean, we can discuss a little bit more about the vaccine context in this, but we must remember that this virus can be very, very dangerous unless we are careful with our social vaccine, which is mask, social distancing, and hygiene, hand hygiene. These are three things see. The thing is, it can be very infectious, but if we don't let it reach another person, then it cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So it has to first reach to another person, and that we help. It is
That is a
means
key.
that virus goes from one person to other. We take it. So virus is taking a free ride on us and going to others. So why not stop that free ride and save others?
So this brings me to one more question. This variant we are talking about, and then the whole world media is talking about it. Is this the only mutation that has taken place in novel coronavirus? If not, can you give us a kind of number like that would have happened from 2019 December to now?
Oh, so there are lakhs and lakhs of variants that have been isolates that have been sequenced all over the world. India has sequenced around 4,500 isolates that are put in our databases,
Mhm.
and we have analyzed that, and we have cataloged 5,000 mutations in Indian variants alone. So there
5,000 mutation in Indian variants alone.
they are there in the, but they are of no meaning, so they are
Uh-huh.
cataloged and kept. So
Okay.
each individual, every month virus will change. It is that's why it has lot of error prone mechanism. So
Mhm.
because it has number advantage, it we
Mhm.
can make several billion viral particles, and if 10, 20 of them reach another person, it has done its job. So that is
Okay.
how their strategy is. So they have number in their hands, so they make lot of errors, and most of them are not of use, or they can be even harmful for the virus. So for example, in May, we had identified another variant of this virus called A3I.
Yeah.
It was a Southeast Asia specific and probably had come to India through a Southeast Asian route.
Hmm.
And it has spread quite extensively. 41% at one time was
Yeah.
A3I. But at that time, we knew that that mutation, one of the defining mutation of that virus, was weakening its replication process, so which would make it sluggish.
Hmm.
It is otherwise all right, but it will grow slow.
Okay.
And so we had kind of projected that it may not survive in competition to other. So when from Gujarat, Maharashtra, those A2A, this strain which was coming from Europe and all came, now A3I is completely wiped out. Every whole country has A2A. So,
Uh-huh.
so that was a weaker one, but now that is gone. We have A2A, which is all over the world. Now a stronger one has stronger for spreading, not
Hmm.
for anything else. So is that if we are anybody who gets infected will get more severe disease. So like that.
That's a very, very interesting point that you pointed out. For example, in India, for example, when the A3A was identified by your consortium, I mean, it was a major news. We'll
Yeah,
take a very short break. After the break, we'll continue this conversation. There are a
yeah,
lot more questions about not only the UK variant, but also the variants which are emerging and how we should face it. Keep
yeah.
watching Eureka. We'll continue this conversation after a very short break.
Defeat coronavirus. Let us always remember, wear a mask, wash hands, follow physical distancing. Together, we'll succeed. Together, we'll win against COVID 19.
Welcome back to Eureka. We are having a very wonderful conversation with Dr. Rakesh Mishra. And in this special episode, we are focusing on the UK variant of novel coronavirus and its implications for India. What are we supposed to do? What actions as society we need to take? What does this variant mean for elimination of novel coronavirus infection? These are the important points that we are discussing. And before the break, he was pointing out that, for example, the A3I clade, which was dominant once in India, identified because of our effort, the consortium which was sequencing viral isolates in India, but that is no longer there. So let's continue with this point that you are making, that one variant which became very dominant at one point of time in Indian media. I mean, it was talked quite a lot that are we getting a new virus which is going to spread widely and so on and so forth. But now we find that, as you said, today almost that variant is not seen anywhere in India, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of things can happen? I mean, like, why does this mutation actually takes place? I mean, in what condition mutations actually take place?
So there are two criteria that increase the chances of mutations, troublesome mutation to emerge.
Okay.
One is, and just simply is the time and number. These are just two simple things. And if there are more number of people infected, and for long time infection is going from one person to other, so mutation will keep emerging. But once that is more advantageous for the virus, will start to establish itself and spread. That way, in fact, India has the largest reservoir of this virus after US. The number of infected people is maximum.
Yeah.
So we have the bigger probability of coming up with new variants. UK, they could find out because they are very closely monitoring 10% of the positive that come. They do sequencing.
Uh-huh.
And when they notice suddenly increase in the cases, they quickly narrowed down and figured out there's nothing much that you can do except that now you can ask people to be more careful and spread less.
Mhm.
Disease treatment is same. Similarly, for India, you forget this UK variant. We should be more watchful that we might generate even worse variant. It's possible. It's not at all. That's why we should not relax at all for several months unless the number of the cases becomes so low that it's not anymore a pandemic.
Okay.
Then it can be locally controlled. So the we
So I mean, you made, I think, a very important point, which I want to underline, which I'll want to expand a bit. That you said that next to US, the more number of cases in numbers, even though the fatality we have been able to control very much. I mean, we are one of the lowest as far as the world is concerned. But in terms of absolute number, the number of patients in India is really large. So, which essentially means the chances for the virus to mutate is higher because of large number of people and so on and so forth, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's an important challenge that India should be aware of at this point of time.
yeah, it's directly proportional to the larger the number, more the chance of newer mutation. They may be mutation useful for virus, or they may be, if we are lucky, good for us.
Yeah, good. So this is where I come. I mean, I remember our last conversation in Eureka. That was at the early part of the pandemic unfolding in India, where you had described with foresight how Indian research institutions have constituted this surveillance, molecular surveillance, like keeping watch on the evolution of the virus. Many people were not really, let me say that, were aware that why this is important. Now it is becoming very important. So can you tell us very briefly how you started at that point of time? I mean, it was one vertical that CSIR had put up, right? So can you describe how did you set up that setup?
Yeah, so the surveillance vertical had main thing was to collect data from various places, and with the help of certain software companies, put the system in place to see what kind of people are being infected and how it is spreading and so on. But most, I mean, important component of that was to sequence the virus.
Yeah.
And in fact, CSIR was the major institution which started sequencing the virus in the beginning. Both CCMB and IGIV in Delhi have done since then several thousand, more than half the genome that are sequenced are from these labs. So because we knew that the mutation in the virus is useful to know in which direction it is going. And more importantly, even if as I was saying, that we already have cataloged 5,000 mutations.
Yeah.
By tracing the sequences, we can trace back from which source this infection has come. So if we do enough sequencing, then I can tell XYZ is infected from so ABC or something. So we can say, like, for example, in Hyderabad, it has come from Chennai or from Madras or vice versa. So we can actually follow the flow of the virus in which direction it is going. And if any one of those are infecting more than others, so we once we know the channel, we can cut the channel or modify, be more careful with that. Or if there's some particular mutation is seeing more, whether it's harmful or not, but if it is increasing more in number, that means that's more infectious. So those groups of people or those localities, we should put more strict restrictions, so that whether it's night curfew, or I would say just convince people to be more careful that here there is something which can be more problematic for this. So once we educate people that it is in your hand, now this part there's a more virus or more infectious virus and so on. So the surveillance can preempt lots of misery and difficulties that can otherwise come. If we close our eyes and wait for it to come and hit, then we are really depending only on our luck, which may work, which may not work. So we should be doing, and that's why multiple institutions then got involved, and this surveillance is very, very important. There are multiple ways of doing the surveillance, but the following genome sequence is the finest one, because this way you can see what is happening to this virus, what new strategies we have to adopt.
Would this have an impact on vaccines which are being developed? I mean, there are about 120 vaccines at various stage. About 5-6 of them are very promising. With vaccine, I mean, there is a lot of hope in people. Would these variants which have already emerged, will they have a impact on the vaccine? I mean,
Yeah, the simple answer for the moment is no. It doesn't have impact at the moment. But I'll tell you very simply that why we think there is no impact of this. So one way is that you can do even experiment and see whether there will impact or not.
Uh-huh.
And that is simple that you take, there are lots of volunteers whom trial is going on. You can take the serum from them, those who have been vaccinated.
Okay.
So that means they are carrying the antibody against the virus,
Mhm.
and use that serum for neutralization assays in the lab using the new variant. And
Okay.
if it is neutralizing, you know that there is no problem. So these are things that are happening. We will also be doing that to check for vaccines are. So we will know those things, they can be validated. But the vaccines, when it is made, the vaccine is basically something which those are little molecules, antibodies,
Mhm.
which as a consequence of vaccine, when the immune system kicks in, these antibodies go and read the surface of against what they have been and catch at many places and then take it for killing inside the body in appropriate compartment.
Yeah.
Now, if one surface is little bit changed, but there are other places available for antibodies, and these are called polyclonal antibodies. So against each antigen or each protein, you have a large number of antibodies. Somebody is touching from this side, somebody is from that direction, somebody in this direction. So even if one or two antibodies are little less efficient, others will be there, and the chances that the vaccine will not be effective is very, very, very small. I
Low.
mean, efficacy can become from 90% to 85%, but
Okay.
actually that doesn't matter, because anything 60%, 70% is fabulous. There is no problem at all. And so that is, I'm talking about vaccine which are, let's say, mRNA vaccine or single protein vaccine.
Mhm.
But vaccine like the Oxford, which is a
Yeah.
large, they are using, or vaccine of Bharat Biotech,
Uh-huh.
which is the whole virus they have inactivated and they are
Uh-huh.
using a vaccine. So those are much more robust against such changes, because that vaccine is targeting 100 things and one is mutated. So what? 99
Yeah.
is still
Yeah.
on the side. So at the moment, we don't have to worry. But as I said, this virus mutates reasonably fast, and since large number of people are infected, so
Mhm.
chances that something may come up which will create vaccine issue. That is why vaccine is not the final shot. Final shot is to reduce the number quickly, so that we don't give a chance of this virus to come up with new ideas.
Okay. Okay. That's an important point that you have mentioned, that just because vaccines are around, we should not become lax in our attitude toward this virus. Uh,
So
the
I think,
less,
yeah,
yeah,
I
please,
just
please, please.
add 2 points in this
Mhm.
vaccines. Let's imagine that we have a vaccine today. I mean, it's not imagine. Even India has approved now vaccine
Yeah,
yesterday, so we will have the vaccine. But there are two, three things we should remember. A, even if you are vaccinated today, it will take 1.5 months for you to be properly protected, provided that you are of those 80-90% who are going to be protected. Remember, there are 10% or 15% who will not get protected.
yeah,
Efficacy means that. So first of all, always be that you might be those 10%, and you have to wait for 1.5 months before, even if you are in the lucky ones, that will take that kind of time. So there is time, and 1.5 months is lot of time. If we
yeah,
relax before the vaccine gets its effect, I may succumb to something,
yes.
to a bad thing. Now, India is a large country.
Mhm.
It will take us several months to vaccinate people.
Yeah,
So that means the vaccine is beginning. It is 6 months we have to fight this battle without vaccine, or even 1 year without vaccine. So we have to be ready for what is practical, and what is, and not just dream that vaccine. The idea of vaccine will not protect you. The
okay.
vaccination will protect. Vaccination will take place 1 year. It is large country. Nobody has ever done this level of vaccination anywhere. We are much better than any other country because we have a strong vaccination program. Now this Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is a very usual vaccine. So 4 degree you can transport it.
Yeah,
So that problem, temperature problem are there. So we'll be, but how much they can produce and how much can we inject? We need needle, we need, and you have to inject twice. It's
yeah,
not one. So there are a lot of logistics. So vaccine is very good thing. It should happen, but we have to fight in parallel with the social vaccine, so that we help the vaccination program, because otherwise in 6 months we may be in a place where we have lots of difficulties if we sat and waited for the vaccine to do its job. We have to do our job right away.
okay. Thank you for being with us in this show and explaining to us what this new variant is and how the Indian science is responding to this emerging situation. It was a very wonderful conversation. For what of time, we will end this conversation here. Thank you for being in the show. Keep watching Eureka. We'll come back with another episode next week, same time.